Baptist Church on last night, and so I wanted to make it. Just was not feeling my absolute best, but I did know it happened. I saw a couple clips here and there, but honestly, I took some medicine, y'all, and I was out. I was done. So I didn't get to thoroughly hear from each of the candidates. I heard something here and there, a couple clips. But I do know my co-host was there, and hopefully, once we get on the line together, he'll be able to share his experience as well as you guys. If you are listening, you want to highlight anything that you saw, if there was a particular topic that came up, and the answer that came forth came from a candidate, and you want to share it, 504-582-9422. I know there was some poignant questions specific to key areas in the city, and I wish I had been in the room to listen to it. But at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, we'll hear from Tatiana Thompson. She is the secretary for the New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Foundation, the Community Advisory Committee status update, and the forum. That's what she's going to be here to talk about. Would love to hear from her because, as we all know, Lincoln Beach is a huge, huge, huge topic here in the city. And shout out to Sage Bliss and Reggie for the work that they're doing in terms of Lincoln Beach. I don't know if a lot of folk know Michael. They call him Sage, but I I I hope he smells his flowers each and every time we extend them to him, because it was his effort along with Bliss that helped put this thing into motion. He had been working tirelessly, relentlessly trying to revitalize that area. And then at some point, Reggie Ford became involved in helping with the cleanup. And now it's a three man, I would say man, but there's a woman in the midst of it. But there are three persons who are collectively responsible for ensuring that that area is revitalized. And so I tilt my hat to them each and every time I see them in person. And I engage sometimes online when the topic is about Lincoln Beach, but I give my flowers personally and direct. And he knows, Michael knows how I feel about that. So does Bliss. I've gone to quite a few council meetings when this was the topic. And it seems like that project is moving along, and we'll talk about that at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. And so I don't know, Will, if you can hear me talking. I know you're traveling and you want to join the conversation. Um, please don't hesitate to call. And if you also want to engage, the number for you is 504-582-9422. But there's a topic here that we have a bit of traction on, and as you know, um, there was supposed to be a sentencing of Sharon Susan Hudson in a contempt case, and that was related to magistrate court and deputies not being sent over to magistrate court, and the Judge Davalier wanted to hold the sheriff responsible for that not happening. And so Louisiana Appeals Court has halted the sentencing of Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson after her conviction last month on charges that she ignored a court order to transport jail detainees for court appearances. The ruling Friday from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal is a temporary reprieve for Hudson, whose July 16th conviction on contempt of court carries up to 6 months of imprisonment or a fine of $500. Hudson appealed that decision. A so-called en banc judge judgment from Criminal District Court Chief Judge Tracy Flemings Davalier that was co-signed by six other court judges. The decision Friday from a panel of three appeals court judges puts a pause on all lower court proceedings in Hudson's case under the appeals court. She can reach a decision in her case. The decision was authored by Judge Nikisha Irvin Knott, Judge Karen K. Herman, and Judge Monique G. Muriel. And so I don't even know what I guess my question would be, what does a sentence like this carry if they're holding the sentence? What was the sentence? I guess I know they were talking about jailing her. I just didn't think that was actually going to happen, but it seems like it was very plausible. Hudson was called to court in July after Flemings Davalier accused her office of ignoring a June 18 court order to transport arrestees to magistrate court on weekends and holidays. The chief judge said the court has been asking OPSO to resume its pre pandemic practice of 7 days a week court transport since 2023. Hudson insisted that the agency doesn't have the money or staffing to meet the request. She offered to instead hold weekend and holiday court sessions at the jail, which two which the jail has two courtrooms on the first floor. But Flemings Davalier was unpersuaded by the sheriff in July's heated 2 hour hearing in which Hudson's counsel fielded questions from a jury box full of judges. Flemings Davalier said the sheriff does not get to decide when defendants are brought to court. The sheriff has no authority over the jurisdiction of criminal district court. So listen, I mean, there's the update there. The appeals court, for whatever reason, halted the sentence. But the sheriff was convicted last month on those contempt charges because she was accused of ignoring a court order to transport jail detainees, and she could serve up to 6 months of imprisonment or a fine of $500. I really didn't think this thing was going to unfold the way that it has, but it did. And I'm wondering if the sheriff will actually have to spend time in jail or actually have to pay a fine since she was convicted, but the sentence was halted. I mean, it doesn't necessarily explain why. I know that there's elections are going on. The sheriff is continuing to seek reelection for her seat. I don't know what the premise behind the halt was. I wish I knew. I don't. I just gave you the update as I got it. But I mean, it's just an unfortunate situation all the way around. I understand the frustrations of the judges who are looking to have court resume as it typically did with the 7 days a week. Um, but I also understand for a number of reasons espoused by the sheriff why that will further put a strain on her office if there aren't enough deputies already and to give them up 7 days a week to go to magistrate court. I can understand what she's saying about the money and the staffing and things of that nature. But if this has to happen, then what is the compromise? Is the compromise going to the courts that are inside of the jail, or is the compromise um, sending the deputies despite the constraint on the staffing issues? I don't know what the compromise is, but it seems like the reasons or the rationale given for why the sheriff was opposing that is plausible. But on the other hand, I understand what the chief judge is saying. She is saying that the sheriff does not get to decide when defendants are brought to court. I understand that, but the sheriff does get to tell you that if she does that, then it's going to further put the safety of those who are left behind to man an understaffed jail in jeopardy. And so again, where is the compromise? The chief judge said that the sheriff has no authority over the jurisdiction of criminal court. I absolutely agree with that. But she does have jurisdiction over the facility that she governs. And if she's saying that facility is already short staffed and the resources and the funding are just not where they need to be to ensure that what you're asking is feasible, then where do we compromise? Is it continuously difficult to bring on more deputies? Is it the pay? Is that the issue? Is it the current issues that are going on and folk are just like, I don't want to work in that sort of environment with all of the things that are being said about the OPSO in the media? I'm not certain, but I can see the points being made by both sides. But when at the end of the day, something has to happen to ensure that the court, the duty of the court happens as it should, and also the safety and duty of the sheriff office has to happen as it should. So where do we go from there? I guess that's the question. Listen, once again, I know you guys were looking for me at the top of the hour, and bear with me. I promise you, I am trying my best to push through. It's just one of those days, and I'm really trying to make it work. I know that y'all act like y'all y'all act like y'all mornings don't go right when you don't hear me first thing in the morning, and I promise you, my morning don't go right when I don't get to talk to you first thing in the morning. But I'm asking for grace this morning because, child, I am on the struggle bus, and it is I'm having a difficult time, and I'm really 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 trying to work it out. But I wanted to be here because we still celebrating. It's August, y'all. It's been a year for me around here, and I'm excited about celebrating my year. And I do not like missing work. I do not like not having the opportunity to engage with you and to bring you the news as it's happening. And so I want you to be aware that I'm just as eager to talk to you as you are eager to hear from me. And look, there's been some updates even on the national front. And we're going to jump into it. I'm going to break in a second, but I want to be able to give you an update about Texas and their aim to gerrymander, and how the Texas Democrats basically, they were protesting. They did not show up so that they can hold a vote to prevent Texas from gerrymandering certain seats so that they can unseat one person in particular, Jasmine Crockett. Her seat is in peril if Texas is allowed to do what they're trying to do in terms of gerrymandering. But remember, I told you, Governor Newsom out in California is pushing back, saying if Texas and Abbott gets to do this, to basically hijack specific seats for Democratic representation, then he's going to do the same thing in California to gerrymander Republican seats so that he can push both sides to the table to think about how gerrymandering is harmful to all citizenry around this country. It is not equitable to disservice folks in terms of representation for their vote. And if Texas and Governor Abbott are going to be allowed to do it, then Governor Newsom said, why not do it here in California, which is going to do more to hurt the Republicans than what they're doing to hurt Democrats in Texas. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. We're going to go to break. When we come back, I'm going to keep talking. I hope you keep listening right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. One person is recovering in the hospital after being shot in the Florida Avenue area. The New Orleans Police Department says this happened last night on North Miro Street near Galvez. Right now, there's no word on the victim's condition or if any suspects have been identified. But as always, if you know something, call Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111. Then Henry Consulting will be back in court today over if they can pick up trash in the French Quarter. Last week, Mayor LaToya Cantrell reinstated an emergency contract with Ivy Waste. Instead, they had the original emergency contract. The move followed a ruling by the Louisiana Supreme Court that said the status quo must remain in place while lawsuits over this contract play out. Today's hearing is set for 10 a.m. And finally, there is still time to get your tickets to the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, which are coming to the Crescent City for the first time ever. It's happening inside the Smoothie King Center Thursday through Sunday. 5 Olympic medalists have currently qualified for the competition, and overall, nearly 140 athletes will take part in this high-flying event. You can watch all of the action right here on WDSU. That's on Sunday. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Jeezy has been making hit songs for over 2 decades, with collaborations with high-profile acts like Jay-Z, DJ Khaled, Drake, and more. But the hip-hop game has changed a lot since he first started rapping. And Jeezy talked to me about how today it's really easy to release a song that immediately reaches a massive audience.
You can make a record in 3 minutes if you like. But the caveat is you can upload that record right there in your bedroom and reach millions of people. It would have took me millions of dollars to reach millions of people.
Jeezy compared the rapid evolution of music tech to advances in the kitchen.
You know, when I came up, we was on top of the skillet, and then there was a microwave, and now there's the air fryer.
And while he's a fan of a lot of new artists, he does warn that quality could suffer from being able to cook up a hit so fast.
When you don't put as much into something, you can't expect it to be there that long.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowes.com/delivery for more details.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Big year. I'm starting middle school.
Welcome to the jungle, Missy.
Best part? My parents promised me a new laptop.
Perfect for homework, essays, and drudgery.
So we went to Staples. They had all the latest tech, and laptops were up to 40% off.
Woo! Another back-to-school budget saved by Staples Easy Button.
Mom high-fived the cashier. So embarrassing.
Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app. In 23 select models only.
Real issues, real talk, real solutions. Miss an episode of The Reality Check? You can catch every episode anytime. Search WBOK Media on your favorite podcast app to tap the bold commentary, real-time reactions, and powerful perspectives from the people and leaders shaping our city. Download, share, and rate it 5 stars because the real ones always stay informed.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic. Got unpaid parking or camera tickets in New Orleans? Here's some good news. Through August 31st, you can take care of them without paying late fees. That's money back in your pocket. Just go to NOLA.gov/no late fees to see what you owe. You can pay all at once or sign up for a payment plan and break it into monthly payments at no extra cost. That's NOLA.gov/no late fees. NOLA.gov/no late fees. Don't miss out. This offer ends August 31st.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And we are back, and it is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashansa Wyatt. Shout out to our GM, Justin Lewis, holding on the boards while our super producer, Nyron Sanders, gets the much needed break he needs. He works very, very hard, y'all. Nyron worked all through the weekend. There was Satchmo Fest happening. There was the Smooth Fest happening, both of which I wanted to attend, just did not. I missed them. But I heard our super producer was in front of the camera over the weekend, and most of you do not know he's super gifted in that area. And so I enjoy seeing him spread his wings and flourish, because he loves what he does. So shout out to Nyron Sanders. We missed you up in here this morning, but I know I'll see you tomorrow. Y'all, everybody knows it is almost the 20th year commemoration of Hurricane Katrina, and it is being received differently from different folk. A lot of folk hold a lot of the trauma of Katrina, and they are not in the business of quote unquote celebrating or commemorating the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And so for different people, it means different things. And so some folk do it so that they can hold fast to what New Orleans once was pre-Katrina in terms of community, in terms of schools, in terms of being this Black corridor for Black excellence. And I mean, the Black middle class in New Orleans was what we want for our city in terms of its strength and its viability. And so for a lot of folk, it's a different reception. But there are a lot of stories. There are a lot of activities going on around the K20 commemoration, and nobody has done it with such connection and connectivity as CES45. And the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina's Second Line Rally and Moment of Silence is going to happen on August the 29th. 2025, and you can RSVP at katrina20.com. And we want to shout out CES45 for all of the work that he does around commemorating our stories and the history that we hold so tightly to, as he does each and every year in commemoration of Hurricane Katrina. I try to stay away from the word celebration as well. It comes out sometimes, but a lot of my friends and folk, who are in the community, they don't really like the word celebration because we lost so much in the waters of Hurricane Katrina, and I understand it. But I want folk to understand this, that memories are thought of and highlighted and commemorated in different ways for different people. And some of us actually were rescued from the top of homes and out of flood waters. Some of us were able to make it to safe grounds, dry grounds prior to the breach of the levees. So our K-20 stories are different. But that's also what makes New Orleans, New Orleans, because we all experienced it, but we all experienced it in our own way. And so whatever your story is, if you want to, commemorate it in whichever way makes you feel whole, that is your right. But I just want us to be clear that everybody experienced that, and everybody has a right to express the way they experienced it, even if it doesn't sit well with you. This is how they cope, or how they remember and hold tight to what New Orleans once was, while still trying to make New Orleans what we, the indigenous folk to New Orleans, want it to be. Good morning, Miss Alicia. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. I want to chime in on the anniversary of Katrina. I myself am not even, I'm tired of listening to some of the reports because they are so tainted and do not speak the truth. All of these reporters, well, many of them, were not even here. And when they tell the story of pre-Katrina and post-Katrina, it is absolutely not truthful. And I can't blame them so much because they weren't here. And the people who are writing the stories for them, they were not here. And they don't give the truth. I myself, I'm stuck on A Return to Splendor and how Tess Kapikoff and a bunch of guys went to Nagin right after the storm in Dallas, and they told him, we're going in another direction. We don't want you as mayor anymore. The city's going to stop here. This neighborhood is not going to come back. That neighborhood is not going to come back. We're going to put all our efforts in these areas. People need to know that, but that's not coming out. I would like to, if I can, offer you Sherman Copeland and myself from the New Orleans East Business Association, because had it not been for NOEBA, the Lower 9, Upper 9, parts of Gentilly, and for sure New Orleans East would not have been able to come back. And people don't know that story. People don't know the fight. People don't know what we did to make sure that all of us had an opportunity to come back. That story, you'll never hear the reporters talk about. And for that, I'm just not interested in any of these. I watched the one about education on WWL, and it just made me so furious. I'm like, something, I'm so sick of them always putting these people up, talking about this city, our children, our existence, and it's all lies. I'm just tired of it. So what are we celebrating? More lies? That's why I kind of tune out with the anniversary of Katrina.
No, I appreciate that perspective, and we're going to talk about that WWL story. That's part of the package we're talking about right now. So I appreciate you, Miss Alicia.
Okay.
Thank you. Listen, the WWL package that was done by Leah over at WWL, and as Miss Alicia said, a lot of the folk who are covering the K-20 commemoration of Hurricane Katrina, they weren't here in the beginning to know how it initially started, and so when they're going out, and talking to people, and the thing that I did respect about Leah's coverage of it is she talked to varying people and perspectives. I was a part of that package, and my comments are what they are, And we talked for a long time, but there was a snippet of some things that I said included in the package. But what frustrates me about the recovery to restructure story inside the nation's boldest school reform initiative, that was pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much the title of the package. What bothered me about it, and that is by WWL's Leah McNeil, is that we continue to allow the false narrative around our school's success to be waved as some sort of banner or some sort of blueprint for how you can take what they considered a struggling school system and reform it. And I just don't buy into that. I never will. Because every time, you talk to people who understand how we got here, the conversation doesn't go the way the conversation is put into TV scripts. Because I call it a script because some of these people are conditioned to just repeat the same thing over and over and hope that you buy it the next time they say it. But the data is very clear, and it's their data, because we don't get an opportunity to dissect anybody's data. We just have to take what they give us and then use your knowledge of data to be able to talk about what they're not saying. And again, this fallacy that New Orleans had the worst school district, one of the worst school districts in the country, is not true. It's absolutely not true. Their definition of failure to enact a takeover would have given them all of our schools. They would have only had a handful of them, 4, 5, depending on who you ask. But the vast majority of schools were not operating in failure, but they continue to push that false narrative. It's fake. It's not real. And I will push back on anybody who continues to tell that lie. It's just not real. It's not real. And one of the people highlighted in the K-20 commemorative story, Recovery to Restructure Inside the Nation's Boldest School Experiment. I don't have to call her by her name. She knows who she is. Like, I would rather you build up your credibility and build up, your resume by not trying to dismiss or demonize all of the hard work of all the educators pre-Katrina, because we had an education force pre-Katrina. Force. We had a network of teachers, veteran educators, trained educators, and trained in pedagogy, right? Because they went to college for education. And so to keep pushing this narrative 20 years after the fact that somehow we had the worst school district, one of the worst in the country, is just simply not true. And that's the thing that bothers a lot of the folk on the other side who push for the protection of public schools, is because you're pushing this narrative with flawed data, and you're trying to make what we're saying about our schools seem like we are the people who are not telling the full picture. Did we have issues? Absolutely. Absolutely we had them. But every system has issues. Every organization has issues, but to fix the issue is not to wash away the entire organization or to wash away the entire system. It is to go in and strategically repair what you feel like needs repair. I don't know anybody going to the hospital with an issue and the doctor said they it's not worth it. We came in here to fix this one thing, but we just gonna do away with you. That doesn't work that way. You go in and you fix what is ailing you. You don't just wash the whole body out. You don't do that. And that's what happened to us. And the fact that I can't respect the way this game is being played is because I know better. So I won't let you talk to me or talk around me or within earshot of me and sell that lie. I'm not going to allow it to happen. So all we're asking is that, yes, you're here now. The reform is here. We've accepted the fact that our system will never look like what our system once looked like. It's time for you to accept the fact that the lie you're telling is a lie, and call it a lie, and say, yes, we promised all of these things. Yes, we said it was going to be about choice. Yes, we said it was going to be about reform, when really and truly it was really about greed and prospering off the backs of the most vulnerable populations of children, because you targeted New Orleans. It wasn't like you just said, let's go in and help the struggling school districts. No, because we're surrounded by districts who were doing worse than we were by your standard, and you didn't take them over. You took us over. So let's not continue to perpetuate a lie. That's all we're asking. Tell the truth, and we could move forward in unison. But you can't move forward in unison until you atone for the atrocities that you committed on our kids, and be honest about it, Paul Vallis. Because he was also highlighted in the package, spewing them that same nonsense. It's just simply not true. It's simply not true. And that's all we're asking. You're here. We understand that we have to learn to live with charters, and that's fine. Because me personally, I don't care what you call a school. I want there to be access for all of our babies in high quality schools with individuals who can produce high quality instruction in a caring and nurturing environment. Because see, that part of it is also missing in some of these schools. The caring and nurturing environment. These are not jails. These are not prisons. These are not detention centers. These are not camps. These are not babysitting services. These are schools. And the caring and nurturing environment is a part of a viable academic institution where academic outcomes and care should be parallel to each other. But you don't get to tell me that you have a successful school and the children aren't being treated with love and respect. You can't tell me your school is academically going in the right direction and you don't respect parents and their ability to partner in this service of their children. So for me, I feel a way about these stories because I know the truth. I feel a way about these stories because I understand data. I understand how to read it. I understand the story that you don't want to talk about. Because for 20 years, you've had all of these resources. I think we're in the billions now, Justin. I think it's billion with a B in terms of money that has been poured into this community under the guise of school reform. And then we continue to hear about all the wonderful things and how much better the school system is doing. If you were really doing what you say you were doing, then the data should not be something that you're using as a sleight of hand. It shouldn't be look over here, but I'm really doing damage over here. It shouldn't be that. If I was really about what I say I'm about, I wouldn't have a problem with folk asking me to see my dad. Like, let me see how you did this. Because if we really are doing what we said we're doing, I wouldn't have a problem with us being a blueprint for replication, where we can take all of the great stuff we're doing in places like Philly and Detroit and Memphis and Houston and all of those other places can benefit from watching how New Orleans does business. But I do have a problem when you sell it to those people as if we are some sort of poster child for success. Stop it. That's all we're asking. And I think this might be the nicest way I've ever asked it, Justin. Right? Just tell the truth. Recovery to Restructure. That is the name of it. Recovery to Restructure inside the nation's boldest school experiment. And yeah, it was bold if you talking bold as in destroy, dismantle, don't even allow the good stuff to survive. That is bold. Or are you talking bold in the magic trick? Oh, this is about choice. And yet family after family struggle each and every school year begging to get into the school of their choice because there aren't enough quality seats, because there are too many schools that are at or below basic in terms of academia. So let's just be honest. We're in this system now. We have to learn to live with charters. But what I want from our school system, what I want from our school board is to operate as if the children are our main priority. Operate as if proficiency is our main goal. Because 20 years later, the conversation should not still be about growing. It should be about proficiency. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about it. There have been some updates, and I want y'all to lean into them. If you are looking for that story, it is called Recovery to Restructure Inside the Nation's Boldest School Experiment by WWL's Leah McNeil. Y'all stay with us right here. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Expect another round of heat and scattered storms. Highs rise to the low 90s with rain and storms arriving later. Any of those could produce heavy rain and a lot of lightning. We'll see a few left over for the evening and tonight with lows in the 70s. More 90s this week with daily chances for rain. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Reshaw.
Ken Mass Studios and Lucky Johnson present The Praying Grandma, a stage play at the Cook Theater on Dillard University's campus, Friday, August 8th at 7 p.m. and Saturday, August 9th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Host for the evening will be Dr. Monique Guillory, featuring Lucky Johnson and special guest Alicia Blue Eyes Renee. Come enjoy the family fun on Friday, August 8th at 7 p.m. and Saturday, August 9th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Get your tickets now at eventbrite.com.
As we reflect on 10 years of New Orleans East Hospital,
we are humbled by the incredible support we received from you. When the Board of Commissioners first started meeting, we did so with one mission:
to bring quality, equitable care to our community.
Your trust in us has allowed us to grow and expand from emergency services to various specialties, with more still to come.
As we celebrate a decade of service and partnership, we thank you for your continued support and being part of our future.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to our general manager, Justin Lewis, for holding down the boards in the absence of my super producer, Naren Sanders. And if you're just joining us, we are talking about all things K20. However you decide to mark or commemorate that moment, we are talking about it. And one of the stories, as we head into the 20th commemoration of Hurricane Katrina, is this the stories around education and how the pro-charter folk and those who ushered in this reform into our communities, how they are waving the banner of success 20 years later. And so Leah McNeil did a story for WWL. There are a number of docuseries going on as it relates to the K20. There are a number of news outlets covering educational matters post Katrina. I saw a package being done by WDSU. Daryl Forges highlighting the Inspire school system and their quest to push academia forward for our children. So there are a number of stories out there. But what is your story? What is your K20 story? A lot of folks have trauma as it relates to K20, and they don't necessarily want to talk about the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. But again, all of us experienced it, and the beauty about folk is that we are not a monolith, and so we experienced it differently, and everybody has a story to tell. Good morning, Raquel. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
This is one of your number one fans. I know you got a lot, but I just want to state I'm one. I promise. I still have yet to embrace you in person, but we'll get to that. But my K20 story is, like you said, we came a long way from Katrina and stuff, especially with the schools. I'm not gonna front on anyone for us with from post Katrina to right now. We have come a long way in our schools with our kids, but only because Katrina exposed a lot of flaws in our school systems. Can you agree, Doctor?
Yes.
And also, the reason from that exposure and stuff, that's why our schools gotten better and stuff from Katrina and the exposure and the rocks that was kicked over from Katrina during, our, I guess, the investigation that they seen, from before Katrina and after Katrina with our schooling system. And first and foremost, I just wanted to make sure that the listeners know, in particular the parents and stuff, it's time for our parents to do more homework and stuff on our kids that are in school, not just, for us with the kids, making sure, they conduct is, in order and they go to school and, things like that. We are talking about the background of these schools and I guess maybe for sure the employees, because we have that right to, dig and see what these backgrounds of these, employees and teachers and administrators and whomever they're around or surrounding our kids. We have a right to investigate these people, real closely. Like, say, for instance, with, the teacher that was just recently, in the situation with the baby, being harmed at school and, horrifyingly, was hurt. And if we would have did more homework on this individual and, like you said, if we would have, kicked that rock over and would have found out why this individual was being, traveled from this school to this school without any explanation, that right there would have definitely, you would have, I guess, cracked some shut eyes, open on this individual before any child had got harmed. So I'm just, stating to the parents out there, please do more homework on these individuals that are surrounding our kids in this school. You have a right. You have a duty. And and to be honest, that duty, if it's, being, brought to the forefront properly like it's supposed to, we will, I feel like it'll help us, more with the protection and the safety that we are definitely looking for our kids in these schools.
Thank you, Raquel. I appreciate your call.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, everybody has a K-20 story, and we want to hear it. But for me, as it relates to the media coverage specific to education, I absolutely agree with Ms. Alicia. I think that we have to ensure that the reporters know the fullness of what took place. And I think Leah did a great job in talking to different folk and getting different pieces of data and trying to understand the full picture. And again, this should not still be a fight between one entity saying that, the charter schools are working as they intended them to work versus the public school advocates who are saying that a lot of our schools work the way that they were supposed to work. So all we're asking you to stop doing is trying to use this fallacy that we needed you to come in here and save us because the entire district as a whole was failing. And that's just simply not true. There were a handful of schools that needed intervention, but what we did not need was a complete washout of our system, and which was a complete washout of the black middle class in the city of New Orleans. And, and again, I will stand against anybody and have this conversation. But the problem is when the folk who are pushing the narrative or the fallacy, they don't want to talk to anybody with any real understanding of the system. They don't want to sit in conversation at the same time with anybody who understands how we got here. So it's easy to espouse those fallacies and that flawed data when you're only howling at the wind, because you're talking and you're being able to post things and write things and print things, but nobody's there to push back on that. And all I'm asking you to do is respect the hard work of the pre-Katrina educators who held this system together. Be mindful of the parents who you are disparaging, talking about it was the worst school district, one of the worst in the country. It just simply is not true. It's not true. And if you can atone for that and say that, then maybe we can kind of work together in unison to create the kind of school district that all of our kids can thrive in. But you're going to always get this pushback when you tell the story and you tell it in such a way that it creates this we needed Superman by way of school reform, and then what we really got was who we got? We sure it wasn't Superman. Who we got? Because billions of dollars later, all of this reform, and we are not in any better shape than we were pre-Katrina. Let's just be honest about that. 4 to 5 failing schools pre-Katrina, and there are a number of there are more schools closed now than that were failing then. So let's just be honest about it. That's all I'm asking. Be honest. You're not going to ever be able to sell me this lie, without fully embracing the idea that y'all didn't tell the truth when you came into our communities. And the same people who are pushing it now weren't the people who initiated it. They've long gone off to greener pastures, creating this demise all over the country, Paul Vallis, right? A lot of them are not even here to live in the destruction that they caused. A lot of people that are here trying to put the pieces back together don't understand how we got here. And I'm talking about a lot of these school leaders. A lot of them don't understand the origin. All they've been told is the part of the story that makes the reform seem like it came in and did what it was supposed to do. So they perpetuate that lie because that's what's being told to them. They don't know how it started. They don't know the truth. Ronald, good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. My piece with the school thing, September the 15th, 2005, Attorney Willie Sanders and myself proceeded to the Department of Education for the signing of this document to transfer to schools. What happened on our way going, Reverend Skip Alexander was put out of the arena because he refused to have women shower with deputies watching black women shower. So after we got that straight, we went to the Department of Education. I went in the restroom, and I told the story. I witnessed the transaction, Alvarez and Marcellus. It was about money. Orleans Parish School Board brings in millions of dollars a year from property tax. It was a money grab. In that conversation, St. Helena had the same amount of grades and issues in their school system, but they didn't have a money resource. And it's always about money. It was about the money. If you look on the back of your homestead exemption, the money that we give to the school board, we're the only parish that does that. And at the end of the day, when it was about money, September the 15th, 2005, I lobbied Derek Shepard and everybody in that city committee. Mrs. Anders spoke eloquently about this money grab. And it's been a money grab from day one, and it's still today. And the folks that come out and speak, just act, I always say it's CBD. No, I don't say a whole lot of times, but at the end of the day, CBD, cheap about a dozen. You see them do political commercials. They say they black, all the way black, but then when the money come out, they always have a reason to go with anybody else but their own people. So I'll say this to say that. I get a lot of arrows shot at my way, and I'm man enough to take it. But at the end of the day, pull the cover back, and you find out what we're doing. I'm going to always think to fight for our people in our community, whether with not in front of my name or behind my name. But let's stick to the truth. September the 15th, and I still have that. Attorney Willie Sanders spoke eloquently about this money grab. They had the union money froze. Like you said, we lost the middle class. And our then Senator Mary Landrieu heard from Willie Sanders and Ronald Coleman, went to her house. And it's still happening. She sat there and let it happen. You know, her aunt was on the school board. And when they had hearings, she had selected amnesia. So at the end of the day, it was about the money. $508 million is in the bank at the time when Katrina hit. And look at what we are today. And I close by saying this. We're having money issues with the school board, and you know who the finance chairman, and nobody says nothing about them. I guess he's got the right complexion for the right connection. Had it been anybody else's W, we would have investigation. So I'm going to continue to fight. I'll take the criticism, but all I actually do, go with the facts. Just go with the facts. That's all we have to do. And I'm thank you for taking my call. Keep up the good work. And yes, I'll say it again. You need to get your own school. Whatever I got to do, we trying in conversation. You need to get your own school, and we're there. Thank you again for taking my call, and keep up the good work.
My mic is out. Can you hear me now? Okay. I appreciate you, Ronald. Thank you for calling. And I encourage each of you to call 504-582-9422 with your K-20 story. Right now, we're focused on education, but a lot of folk have K-20 stories that don't revolve around education, but we're talking education because there are so many media outlets that are covering K-20, which is the 20th commemoration of Hurricane Katrina, and how well is our school district doing as opposed to what we were doing pre-Katrina. And I promise you, if I can sit down with any of the architects of this reform, anybody who is still pushing the fallacy about this reform, and we can have a conversation and they acknowledge that the information that was given to them or told to them, it wasn't necessarily full picture, big picture about the state of education in New Orleans in 2005, I guarantee you we can have a conversation. But I'm not willing to sit in any room and allow anybody to perpetuate this lie. It was a lie. It was a lie then, and it's a lie from the pits of hell now. And I'm not going to accept it. We have to go to break. When we come back, I see you, Aaron. I'm going to catch you on the other side. But this is WBOK 1230 AM, and we are talking about it, and I hope y'all listening. Y'all stay with us on the other side of the break. Aaron, I see you. I'm coming. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Whooping cough cases are rising as kids head back to school. Dr. Dave Weber of the University of North Carolina Medical Center says parents should vaccinate a few weeks before school starts.
My hospital, we had no cases in 2023, 13 in 2024, and already this year we've had 27.
CDC data shows a six-fold increase in 2024, with many children missing key vaccines. St. Louis is ending its minority and women-owned business goals for construction contracts. Mayor Kara Spencer says new federal rules ban promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Lawrence Taylor says he doesn't know why he was picked for President Trump's Youth Fitness Council. The ex-NFL star, a registered sex offender, joined the White House event, sparking backlash over his past and President Trump's decision to include him. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
This year marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina changed our city and our schools forever. New Schools for New Orleans is sharing After the Storm, a special series reflecting on the past 2 decades of change and progress in public education. Through videos, personal stories, and a powerful interactive timeline and data dashboard, we explore how our schools recovered, transformed, grew, and what that progress means for our students today. Discover the videos, data, resources, and stories behind the 20 years of change at newschoolsforneworleans.org/Katrina20.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back, and it is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. We were talking about all things K-20 prior to the break, and Aaron is on line 1. Good morning, Aaron. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm maintaining. First, shouts out to the Fatherhood Roundtable as well as the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, Louisiana. Is sometimes listening to these shows, man, it can become real painstaking when you sit back and listen to a lot of people call with the same old excuses about what was done back then. Listen. We about to celebrate how many years for Hurricane America, a.k.a. Katrina? Was 20, 21?
I didn't hear your question, bro. What you say?
Oh, I say you can my bad. You can hear me? You can hear me? All right. I said, how many years is about to be for Hurricane America, a.k.a. Katrina?
20.
20 years, 20. All right, 20 years, right? Within those 20 years, we understand all the cataclysms that went on with that. But today, we don't even have an evacuation plan in case Katrina or another storm like Katrina. Let me calm down. Right? We don't even have an evacuation plan up and ready to go right now. You would think that the lessons that we learned from Katrina 20 years ago, we doomed and set to repeat the same old things all over again. You have all these leaders within this city who just sitting around playing with their fingers and won't vote. The same way how we have these town hall meetings, it's the same way how we need to have these community meetings and make sure that we having actionable solutions, not just sitting around just talking about a whole bunch of jibber jabber with hope this and hope that. Look, hope don't pay no bills. Hope does not get us where we need to get at. It's things that we need to do. The people that's in the way, we know who they are, and we need to move them the hell up out of our way, which is why we are at where we are at in this city right now. We got to stop focusing on, stop worrying about what was done years ago. What we doing right now is a shame. 20 years, Katrina came 20 years ago, and we still don't have our own institutions, our own communities, our own banks, and our own grocery stores. But we sitting back wondering why we are at where we are at right now. There is no way, Doc, in with your professional back, there is no way we should have been came together and made sure that you had your own schools. And you know, it's real painstaking, and forgive the passion in my voice, but I'm just so sick and tired of people just constantly calling this show, oh, Doc, I love you. If you love her, hit her cash out. You know what I'm saying? Why we haven't came together and made sure that she had her own school yet? We know the type of work that she do, but we continue to sit back and wait on the system that we constantly fight against daily for years to come back and just wake up one day and expect for the system to do for us what we should have been doing for ourselves. And it's so painstaking to hear the same people call here all the time with all these god doggone excuses on why where we are at where we are at because some of us are too afraid to, number one, take the stand and make the necessary sacrifices that needs to be made because we're comfortable with having certain politicians in our pockets and calling them and telling them, look, I got this speeding ticket. I need you to take care of this. All this proximity to white folks. And we wonder why we at where we at right now. We have the power and the ability to change our current situation overnight. But some of us are too afraid because we're comfortable in our oppression. And then we'll come on this radio show and other shows and act like we're doing so much and ain't doing a god doggone thing. And we wonder why we get what we get. We got to be the ones to stand up and do what we need to do and stop waiting for other people to come into our community to do for us and stop making excuses. If they ain't doing what they're supposed to do, get their ass out of office, period.
Yeah,
This ain't about no friendship.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna stop right there.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you. I really do. Have a blessed one. Look, I think too, you know, when you hear that sort of passion coming from people, it is because it's an exhaustion. And, you know, when I watched the package, and I only saw snippets of it because folks sent it to me. I really didn't even watch it. I saw snippets of it, but I do know when you talk about the McDonough 35s of the city, we can't allow the perpetuation of the lie that was a failing institution. It was never a failing school. I'm not a product of McDonough 35. I'm a product of Edna Karr. And Edna Karr was never a failing school. I went to Edna Karr when it was a magnet school. And when I was at Edna Karr and it was a magnet school, McDonough 35 was a school of academic excellence as well. We cannot allow them to rewrite our reality. We lived through it, and yet we are comfortable allowing people to tell us how our reality actually took place. It's just simply not true. Edna Karr is a blue ribbon school, as was William J. Fisher Elementary School, which is no longer open, my elementary school. There are more schools closed than there were failing schools pre-Katrina, and you're trying to tell me that this is success. If this is what success looks like, I guarantee you Massachusetts got something to say about it. Like, we have to stop pretending that we were not fed a fallacy. We were, and we bought into it because we wanted better for our children and our families. We wanted our schools to come back. We wanted to come back home. So I understand the need, the urgency, but I want these folks to stop saying that we had one of the worst. I mean, you could go anywhere and Google it and look at it and see it. Go on TikTok, just look at it. Go on any social media and look at the stories that they're telling. They had, and again, I'm going to say it again, for people who only like to listen to 30 seconds of what you say. Did we have issues? Yes. But show me a school district that has zero issues. Show me an organization that has zero issues. Show me a community that has zero issues. We don't live in a utopia anywhere. There were even issues on The Cosby Show, and that was one of the most wholesome shows out there. There were issues. So we're not going to sit here and act like communities full of well-to-do, middle-class, upper-class folk don't have issues. They just got enough money to hide them. They have enough money to curve the story, skew the data, make you believe what your eyes saw and what your ears heard weren't the truth. That's the difference. Because when you come into a poor community and you disservice it, they don't have enough money or resources to fight back against the lie. So all they have is their voice and their collective effort. And we saw that happen on a number of fronts, and they were ignored because the opposition had more money, thus more power. Let's just be honest. Reverend Calhoun, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Well, under this successful school system, how many A schools that were produced that exist that didn't exist before?
You know, that's my favorite piece of data to talk about. You know, that's my favorite piece to talk about. Talk about it, Rev. Because
I'm just trying to find out, because if this is so successful, how many A schools do we have now? The last count I saw was 7. And going back into using the old formula for A schools, which means 92 to 100, 2 of those A schools is going to fall out of being A schools. My point being is, when this happened, we had our face in the mud. And there were people coming into this city, not only in education, but in every area you can think of. They were looking at how to come in to rape and rob this community of its resources. That's the reality of what we're dealing with. I said it then and I say it now. It's been 20 years. 20 years we'll be talking about what they did us.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of how we fix it, how we move forward, that's a reality. Because you got a government now that's, other than using the word crazy, I don't know what other term to use. But you would have less help now than you had 20 years ago. So let's be real about where we are. If we're going to sit down and make sure that we are prepared to move forward, if another disaster hits this city, then yeah, there has to be a real coming together of minds. I don't think we have any leadership in the current state administration that will offer any help to New Orleans. I don't think the federal government will give us the help we need. I think we just saw what happened in Maryland, how they were denied because they didn't support Mr. Trump when he was running for election.
Right.
So we're dealing with a whole new group of circumstances that if something would happen, I think we would get less help than we had before. So, yeah, it's going to be up to us to come together at some point and at some time to talk about what's real and what's not. If we're not preparing our children now for the future, think about the 20 years that them passed by and what happened to most of our kids that went through this educational success story. And where will they be? Where will these next generation be? Are they being prepared for futuristic jobs or not?
Yeah.
I'm watching what's happening, but also trying to be as active as I can be. And it's only going to take all of us coming together to make this happen. So talking about it is great. Doing something about it is always better.
Yes, I agree.
All right. You
Thank
have
you,
a good
Rev.
morning.
Appreciate you. Listen, I absolutely agree with that sentiment, and the reason why this story is so important is because um, I don't know if many of us are aware that New Orleans is being used as some sort of model for charter reform, and we're in conversations in states and cities that we have no idea we're in the mix of the conversation. I did a lot of work in Chicago around this conversation, you know, trying very fiercely not to have them elect Paul Vallis as their mayor because I know what that means. And Chicago's system is structured a bit differently than our system, whereas the mayor has real like access and they can touch, they almost control what happens there in terms of the schools. We don't have that here. And my belief was that we were going to replicate the destruction in another community full of vulnerable children and families. And I just could not sit idly by and watch that happen without ringing an alarm. Now, I could ring the alarm. It's how you respond to it. I'm gonna tell you what it is. You know what I mean? It's how you respond to it. And so the reason this conversation is happening, and to the extent it is, because there are a number of stories out there. Here's another one. As New Orleans students return to school, here are 3 education issues to watch. The first issue that, according to the article, is this new accountability system. Rev, I know you're still listening. I know you're still listening. Because what we talk about every time the goalposts can't be scored on, they move it. They move the goalpost. And I'm just not okay with it. District officials have warned that many schools will likely see lower grades when the new system takes effect in 2026. Lower grades would the grading scale isn't even what it was pre-Katrina. You created a new grading system, and now you're telling us that we're expected to see lower grades in a deeply skewed grading system already. So what does that really mean? Is an A really even an A? Is basic even really basic? Like you keep talking mastery, but what does that really look like in terms of, because it's saying New Orleans will go from having 15 schools with an A or B rating in 2024 down to 6 under the new system, according to projections by the district. So I wonder if y'all are going back to the grading system that we had when you had to have at minimum a 93 to be an A. Minimum a 92 was a B in the system I grew up in. So are you going back to that? Because if you're not, this will be even more alarming to me. If the grading scale is still so padded that an A is really a low B and a B is really a low C, right? I want to know what that looks like. What accountability structure are we going to? Are we going back to that? Because I think this is alarming to know that they're claiming there are 15 A or B schools in 2024. And then we will be down to 6 A or B schools by 2026 because they're going to a new accountability system. So what does that mean for those C and D schools? They really going to be Fs? Even in your system, because they were Fs in our system already. So they're going to be deeper Fs in this new accountability system. This is about to be scary. This is about to be scary. It says for high schools, the inner course test will account for 75% of their rating under the new system. That is an EOC. If y'all are not familiar, that is the test you take at the end of a course, like a biology EOC, Algebra 1 EOC, English 4 EOC. It's going to be worth 75% under the new system. So you know what that means, parents? If your children are failing the end of course tests, they're going to fail because 75% don't leave much on the table for you to recoup nowhere else. You're not going to be able to do it. So 25% will be based on graduation rates and college and career readiness, such as ACT and job training. That's a big change from the past when EOC counted for just 25% of the high school's rating. This is about to get dangerous. Because if the EOC was only worth 25% at one time, which is now, and we still don't have kids passing EOCs, we still don't have kids reading on grade level, we still don't have kids ready for college or career when they exit high school. Now it's going to be worth 75%. Parents, y'all going to have to get active. This is about to get ugly. Because you know what I think going to happen? In my professional opinion, if you think folk are cheating and gaming the system now, if you think they cheating and gaming the system now, because, you know, there are a number of stories we could talk about where kids aren't actually the ones taking tests around here. But if you think they're gaming the system now and touching and manipulating data, if you make an end of course 75%, I took a hard pause there because I'm going to let you figure it out. I have to go to break, but I'm going to tell y'all the other two issues that they're saying will be issues. Attendance. The absenteeism has been on a rise in recent years, and they're anticipating a sharp decline in student enrollment. The body count. So, and that's the three things: enrollment changes. According to the superintendent, the school board at the school board meeting in July, she said that there are 1,600 excess high school seats and 1,600 excess elementary school seats, meaning some hard decisions could be on the horizon as the district looks to shrink its footprint. So I got this question before I go to break. I just got this question, Aaron. You listening? Reverend Calhoun, you listening? Raquel, you listening? This is my question. If the school system or this system of schools that they've put up on us is doing what these K-20 commemorative docu-series are saying they're doing, these investigations. If the school system is doing so well, why are we closing all of our doors and limiting the availability of seats for children? Why are the children somehow fleeing all of this goodness? Where are the babies? Where are they? Are they in the homeschool program? Are they in different cities and states? Are they in different parishes? Where are the children? If we're doing so great, why is there an exodus of children? If we rocking it out, we knocking it out the ballpark, why aren't they knocking down our school doors to attend? Where are our babies? That's the question I have. And guess what, y'all? There are about 13 schools up for renewal. So we could possibly see more schools charters be revocated. This is a crisis, and nobody's talking about it like it's a crisis. We have fiscal crisis going on. We got $90 million out there somewhere that's owed to our babies, and they can't have it. And now we about to have less seats for them to attend school. But where are the children going to go? I don't know. I got to go to break. Miss Jones, I see you online. One, I'm going to take you before I go. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Okay.
Hey, Miss Jones.
Yes. Oh, yes. Good morning.
How you doing?
Okay, yeah. I'm going to be quickly in memory of the storm. People forget the bodies that were not found because there were some bodies that probably floated back and they never found their loved ones. So just to mention whoever they are. Okay, another thing. The public housing, strong bricks, were torn down. They've been through hurricanes since the 40s. All of them were torn down. Now you have a high homelessness rate. Okay, people who were standing on a rooftop pleading for help while the helicopters were flying over, and some people say they were actually laughing at them. People who came into the game now, they need to find out. The school employees scattered all over. You had to collect your money from Western Union. And I understand it was told if they didn't ask about a second pay, don't tell them. This came from the board.
Yeah.
Then afterward, the safety of the children going to school 5:30 in the morning, like if they go into the riverfront to work, little girls getting violated.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
Yeah.
It's worse than horrible. So the people who want to write stories, ask. Ask the people who've been through it. And the dismantling of school, I could say right now, while that is happening, don't let it stop you from learning or doing something at home. Form groups, clubs around your neighborhood, especially for reading, the basic reading, spelling, the language, math. That's a good foundation.
I appreciate you, Ms.
And
Jones.
I remember one more thing. Alvarez and Marcel people were there. They had people coming. I think they had put the personnel at one of the schools uptown temporarily. And I saw people coming out disgruntled. And these people from Alvarez and Marcel were laughing at them. And I said, I wish one of them would catch you and throw you down that balcony. It just was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
There's a lot until our people need to wake up. And when we commemorate, don't do things to sell your merchandise. Just for that.
Yeah.
We need to just come together, get away from all of the entertainment. You've given that away. Treme is just about gone as far as we're concerned. And to wake up. Wake up and stop going along with all the entertainment and good time, and you get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
It just is so heartbreaking. There's a lot more that happened. People, I understand a lady took her life after all of that. I'm trying to remember after she was fired from the school as a teacher. There's just so much more that's not told. And people coming from all over want to write our story. I had to tell somebody, you don't know. Don't come writing something just to write, to put your column and make money. It's tragedy.
Yeah. It is.
People wake up, neighbors, start communicating with each other, help the children. If they're up early in the morning to go to whatever schools are left, wake up, watch them for safety because it's dangerous. I'm not saying half the things of something that I heard, and I was just really shocked, still shocked over today.
Yeah.
The danger going out early in the morning.
I have to go to break, Ms. Jones.
Okay.
I appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
And you take good care of yourself, Dr.
I will.
White.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I will. Look, I got to go to break, y'all, and I appreciate the conversation. And if you want to join it, the number is 504-582-9422. We're going to go to break, but when we come back, we'll hear from Tatiana Thompson, the secretary for the New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Foundation, talking about this community advisory committee status and the update on the forum right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long. Didn't catch this morning's conversation? No worries. The Good Morning Show is now a podcast on all your favorite apps. Just search WBOK Media, find The Good Morning Show, and make it part of your daily routine. Download it, share it, and rate it 5 stars. Start your day with something real.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. One person is recovering in the hospital after being shot in the Florida Avenue area. The New Orleans Police Department says this happened last night on North Miro Street near Galvez. Right now, there's no word on the victim's condition or if any suspects have been identified. But as always, if you know something, call Crime Stoppers at 504-822-1111. Then Henry Consulting will be back in court today over if they can pick up trash in the French Quarter. Last week, Mayor LaToya Cantrell reinstated an emergency contract with Ivy Waste. Instead, they had the original emergency contract. The move followed a ruling by the Louisiana Supreme Court that said the status quo must remain in place while lawsuits over this contract play out. Today's hearing is set for 10 a.m. And finally, there is still time to get your tickets to the U.S. Gymnastics Championships, which are coming to the Crescent City for the first time ever. It's happening inside the Smoothie King Center Thursday through Sunday. 5 Olympic medalists have currently qualified for the competition, and overall, nearly 140 athletes will take part in this high-flying event. You can watch all of the action right here on WDSU. That's on Sunday. And that's a look at today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Criminals are escaping at will. The jail locks don't work. Our courtrooms are not secure. Our jail is out of control. We need a tough sheriff who can fix it, like Bob Murray.
You know me. I'm Bob Murray. With your vote, I can fix it. Paid for by the community like Bob Murray? Sure. Number 3 on the ballot.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
We are back, and it is Tuesday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Waye. Shout out to our General Manager, Justin Lewis, holding on the boards in the absence of my super producer, Nyron Sanders. And right now, we are getting ready to engage in conversation with Tatiana Thompson. She's the secretary for New Orleans Felican Beach Foundation, and she's here to talk to us about this Community Advisory Committee, the status of that, and an update on the forum. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
So first and foremost, for the benefit of our listening audience, can you just give us a bit of background on the foundation itself? What is the New Orleans Felican Beach Foundation?
So the New Orleans Felican Beach Foundation was founded by Bliss, also Sage, and the people who kind of started it, but for the most part, it is headed by Bliss. She's the one who's actually a part of the organization. But it's really just about getting the beach open and accessible to the people, as well as being mindful of the ecology and the spiritual significance of the site.
And so in your role as the secretary for the Lincoln Beach Foundation, how does that connect with the Community Advisory Committee?
So for me, I'm playing a lot of different roles right now. So a lot of what I'm doing is preparing a lot of things on the back end, as well as engaging the community, building those flyers out, and just, honing in on the importance of having a younger audience be a part of these conversations, because the beach, it has a lot of historical significance, but it's going to be passed down to the next generation. So we have to take pride in what we have. So bringing me in, seeing it from that lens, hopefully I can bring some people in and get people interested in talking about it.
And what has been the primary mission of the Community Advisory Committee as it relates to the redevelopment of Lincoln Beach?
It's to liaise between the city and the community, because there's a lot of information and things that people don't know that goes on and back in as far as what the city does. And so us being there helps to get those questions answered. They may not know how long it's going to take or what's even going on with these contracts. So coming to these forums, you get a chance to ask those questions to the people who are making those decisions.
And there's a August 6th meeting that's coming up. Can you talk to us about that?
So the August 6th meeting, because we have had a few changes, we have a new project manager. It moved to Megan Williams now. We have questions in regards to like the bridge being built and even the dates constantly being pushed back, because at first we were promised the date of opening of a passive beach, and now you're seeing that can constantly be kicked down the road. And quite honestly, people are tired of hearing when something is going to open. We've heard it with other sites before. And when it comes to Lincoln Beach, it's like, this has historical significance. Y'all not about to play with this one, okay? So that's where we at with it.
And what is Resilient NOLA, and how do they fit into the broader picture of revitalizing Lincoln Beach?
Resilient NOLA, I'm gonna be honest, I can't really speak to Resilient NOLA. We have a lot of different partners on this project, especially when it comes to talking about that history, getting out the scientific side of the ecology of the beach. So I really can't speak to that.
Okay. It's okay. I wanted to know because it's at Resilient NOLA, that's their handle on social media, but they're involved in the redevelopment, and I wanted to know what was their place. So I'll find out. I'll ask. I guess I'll ask Sage or Bliss directly. But will there be an opportunity for community members to provide feedback or ask questions during the August 6th meeting, which is tomorrow?
Yeah, for sure. So when last time we had these meetings, it was, like I said, it was a small group of people. So hopefully we could get more people out to ask these hard questions, because the last thing we want to do is to have a meeting and then questions are being glazed over, because it's very easy for people to hear what they want to hear and answer what they want to answer. So when you have enough community members behind it and say, no, we're not letting this particular question go, then it gives a lot of strength behind the message that we're creating, and also saying that we take pride in this and we're not going to let the city take over. This is in our community and we need this. I mean, if you've ever been to the beach, mental health is a thing in New Orleans, and it feels so good to touch your feet to that sand. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the work that is being done by Sage and Bliss. And as I said at the top of the show, Reggie is also involved.
Right.
He was watching the work that was being done and wanted to help, because at that point, I think Sage was out there doing the manual chopping of trees and cleaning it up by himself.
Right.
And Bliss is a powerhouse in terms of making certain that it is all coming together. But that was a partnership, Sage and Bliss, that I was watching. I was watching them do the work, literally by hand, getting that place to be a place that it once was, specifically for the Black community. It's open for everybody, but specifically for the Black community. So where is this meeting taking place and what time?
So it's going to be taking place at the Goodwill Center in New Orleans East at 5770 on Reed Boulevard, and it's going to be from 6 to 7. So it's only going to be 1 hour, but that's the location it's going to be.
So the Goodwill on Reed Boulevard, 6 to 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes.
That is where the meeting is going to be. And how has the advisory committee been working to keep the public informed about the progress and the decisions being made?
So for the most part, these forums are one of the most important ways to get that information out, because again, things are changing every day when it comes to this project. I mean, again, we just got a new contractor on board. There's a new project manager. So in order to be informed about these things, like keep up with what's going on with the foundation page, we are in the process of building a website. That way we can put all of the information that maybe the city may not want to say necessarily, and provide that directly to the people. One thing that I want people to know when it comes to New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Foundation is we are for the people. We are doing a lot of things on the back end to give y'all the information directly, to where you don't have to wonder who's telling the truth and who's not. It's been some questions that I've asked that was not answered, and I want those answers. I mean, if we're telling people that a bridge could be built, I need to see the paperwork. You can't tell people that we're going to build a bridge and we're showing all of these pretty designs, and yet when you look at the actual paperwork, there's no history of utilities being built on side of a bridge. These companies who own the roadways, they don't typically award permits for that.
So what are your concerns?
My concerns is mainly about the bridge. If we know, and I asked this question directly to Joe Threat myself, and the question was not answered about the bridge. If we know that the bridge is probably going to take some time to be permanent, if at all. Why are we not providing the community with contingencies, other ways to get around the bridge and showing those designs? And why is the community being overlooked when we say we want to pass a bridge and they come in with all these designs? And New Orleans East only has 5% of its tree canopy. You have to cut down trees to build all of these buildings. So what happens with the heat? All of that.
You mentioned Joe Threat. Who is that, and what is his relationship to the project that's happening at Lincoln Beach?
So he works with a lot of projects, and he works as like right on side the mayor. So anything that we're doing, a lot of times we speak directly
so
to
he's a representative from the city of New
yeah,
Orleans.
from the city of New Orleans. And he's also, working with the new project manager, and she's from what I've met her once, she seems okay. But again, it's not about what you've done in the past. It's about, can you answer these questions? Are you transparent? And are you for the people?
How comfortable or secure is the foundation, Sage and Bliss? How comfortable are they with ensuring that this project remains a project for the people and not something that's going to be hijacked by a state or city governmental agency? Like, is it something that we're comfortable saying we're doing all of this, and then it's not going to be something that's hijacked, and then there's a huge cost to get in it, or it's a burden on the community? Are we talking about those sorts of concerns?
So this is the thing, bringing this back again to these meetings and people having to show up. You have to show up for your own community. The thing is that it doesn't matter. Land can be owned on paper, but who occupies the land is the people who actually own it. So you have to show up to these meetings, and it can't just be a few people. You have to have the community in the village behind you. Another thing that I wanted to touch on is that Sage is not officially a part of the New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Foundation, although we all work together. So I don't want it to be any miscommunication.
So Sage is not a part of the foundation.
The foundation, but he's definitely one of the he's a pioneer for sure when it comes to Lincoln Beach and all of his efforts to get everything started. So that should never be overlooked. But we are a community. We all work together in our own little ways.
So Bliss is a part of the foundation.
Yes.
Though. Okay. And I mean, the reason I ask about it being for the community, because a lot of things, once they're built, they become out of reach for regular families with multiple children. I'm not saying there shouldn't be some sort of fee to access it, because everything runs off of funding and things of that nature. But when you're talking about an experience that was literally cultivated by the hands of the community, I don't think it should be out of the hands of the community in terms of accessing it. Once it's revitalized and it's accessible and open to the public. So that's just one of the questions I was asking. But can you talk about some of the challenges and successes of getting the community members involved in these planning sessions? Because I hear you keep saying folk need to show up. And I feel like a challenge has been getting them there. Do you feel like the conversations or the information is out there and accessible so people can know what's going on and know when these meetings are?
Right. And I think that, we talked about this earlier, where it doesn't seem like it's enough information, especially with the city being involved. It should be a little bit more to engage the community. So now, we're doing what we can on our end to get that out there. Like I said, I personally feel like, and this is no shade to the older crowd, but the young ones is we have to show up. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's no shade there. I think your elders, they want to be able to pass a baton to people. The elders are going to show up. The elders are the people who are voting.
Right.
We got to get the young folk, into the process of making certain that they understand that their voice is their vote. And it doesn't always have to be an election. Your voice is your vote in rooms where you're advocating for what you want for your community.
Right.
So showing up and being there to voice the needs, that's just as important as pushing a button and casting a ballot, because people need to know that you care enough to show up and voice your concerns and opinions. So do you feel like that's a real challenge, getting the folk who are in your age bracket or younger out to be engaged about Lincoln Beach? You think that's a challenge?
I think challenges are mental. I think we just need to change the approach. The approach may have been one way, but it's a different way to engage different crowds. So I think that coming in with a different perspective, and then, inviting some other minds in as well to, chime in and say, hey, we can try this way. Let's do a TikTok video or something like that. That's going to be engaging versus...
I like TikTok myself.
Right.
It's very, very entertaining. I think it's so cute, and I love to see folk with real information on TikTok, though. It's not just about dancing and music. there are some content creators that are really educating folk on TikTok. I think it's a wonderful tool to use. So we have about 30 seconds left. But what are the next milestones after this meeting? The meeting is tomorrow. It's happening at the Goodwill on Reed at 6:00. What after?
So for us, I can't speak for the city because they doing their thing. But for us, it's about getting that website out and making sure everything that we have to give to the people for them to see directly, and that way they build trust in this organization, not just the organization, but build trust with more trust with Lord goodness, more trust with Reggie, more trust with Sage, more trust with the people who are at the grassroots doing this. That's the most important thing, I think, for the organization, because the city is going to say what the city is going to say. But if we have some information that we could give to the people and say, hey, y'all need to, this is our stuff, and we're not going to let it go down like that, I think that's the most important thing. We have to do the work. We can't wait on the city to do nothing for us, period.
And what's the website so that folk, if they want to learn more about what the foundation is doing?
So we still building the website, but the URL is neworleansforlincolnbeach.org. So be prepared for all of that information to come out. It's going to bust you in the head, but it's going to be all right. Y'all need to see this, okay?
You need to see it. Listen, we have to go to break, but we've been talking to Tatiana Thompson, the secretary of New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Foundation, talking about the Community Advisory Committee status in this update as it relates to the forum, which is happening tomorrow, August the 6th at the Goodwill on Reed. It starts at 6, ends at 7. If you have any concerns related to the project, or if you just want to sit in a room and be educated about what is happening around the project, tomorrow is the day, August 6th, 6 p.m., the Goodwill on Reed. What's the address one more time?
5770 Reed Boulevard.
5770 Reed Boulevard. We have to go to break. When we come back, I'm going to keep talking. I hope you keep listening right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Expect another round of heat and scattered storms. Highs rise to the low 90s with rain and storms arriving later. Any of those could produce heavy rain and a lot of lightning. We'll see a few left over for the evening and tonight with lows in the 70s, more 90s this week with daily chances for rain. For the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Feeling stuck in your job? Dreaming of something more? It only takes one step to change everything. With the Urban League of Louisiana, Skill Up Louisiana, you can train for high-paying careers in wind, solar, hydrogen energy, automotive, cybersecurity, AI, and more. This isn't a job, it's your future. A new career starts with one step. Your future is waiting. Visit urbanleaguela.org/apprenticeships to learn more and apply today.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to our general manager, Justin Lewis. Have y'all ever met our general manager? Y'all need to stop by the station and shake his hand or something, because he really be doing what needs to be done around these parts. I miss my super producer, though. Naren, I miss you. Justin, don't take it personal. But I miss my super producer. Listen, it's been quite the show. We've had conversations with Tatiana Thompson, the secretary for New Orleans for Lincoln Beach Foundation, talking to us about this forum that is happening tomorrow on the 6th at the Goodwill on Reed Boulevard. It starts at 6 p.m. So if you want updates as it relates to that project, tomorrow is the day. Goodwill is the place. 6 p.m. is the time. I hope you can make it out. We've also been talking about these K-20 stories as it relates to Hurricane Katrina. And again, I'm going to remind you, we all went through Katrina in some shape, form, or fashion. Even if we're not on top of homes trying to be rescued, we still carry some scars and some sort of memory about what happened to our beautiful city on August the 29th, 2005. And a lot of us are hesitant about, the word celebration. A lot of us are hesitant to lean into the stories as it relates to Katrina for whatever reason. But I know when it comes to education, I along with so many other folk who came before me, who will continue to come after me, a lot of folks, the issues that surround those narratives is the idea that it's just simply not the truth. And all we're asking is that we're 20 years deep into this thing. Y'all could lay up off the lies, right? It is time to now talk about this system against itself. You no longer should have to measure academic outcomes for this reform against pre-Katrina anything. We're 20 years and we can start to measure ourselves against ourselves about what we've done in the last 20 years to actually move the needle of academics, move the needle of education, move the needle for literacy rates. We should be able to point to something and say, this is what we've done and this is the outcome. And so unless and until we're ready to have that conversation in a vacuum and not necessarily parallel to a pre-Katrina conversation, then you're not really being honest about the conversation. But if you're going to continue to insert pre-Katrina information in the conversation, then be honest. Be honest. Tell the folk that we had 4, 5, depending on who you ask, schools that met the threshold of failure. And you couldn't do a whole school district. You couldn't recover anything based on that data point. So what did you do? You up what failure was considered from a 60 to an 87.5. And that is how you took over the schools. And then when you got them, guess what you did? What you're doing now, moving the goalposts to ensure that the reform looks like it's actually reforming. And that's all I want you to do. Just be honest. Because again, if we want to talk about moving forward together as a collective, it comes at the price of full transparency, full honesty, so that we can actually make a plan that works to the benefit of all of our children. Because I don't know about you, but in any relationship, whether it's this charter public relationship, whether it's this TFA veteran teacher relationship, whether it's husband and wife relationship, you cannot get far telling lies. In order to heal the problem, you got to tell the truth about the problem. If you can't admit that something is wrong, y'all can't actually do the work to fix the wrong. So that's all I'm saying. We have to stop allowing that narrative to be put out there and constantly fed to new people, because every time a new crop of prospective teachers come to our city wanting jobs, they're fed that lie. Every time a new school leader comes into the city from another city or state, they're fed that lie. And they perpetuate it because that's what was told to them. And that's the basis for why they believe they're here. They believe they're here because there was so much work that needed to be done, and they needed to do that work to reform our education system because it was in such bad shape. And that's just simply not the truth. Did we have issues? Absolutely. Did we have fiscal issues? Absolutely. But guess who got fiscal issues right now, Justin? The current system, right? Fiscal issues. Yes, we had them. We had issues with teachers who were not doing the right thing. Guess what system has issues with teachers not doing the right thing? This one. So what I'm going to tell you is very clear. Every system has its issues. Every organization has its issues. Every entity has its issues. There's not one business, even the multi-billion-dollar businesses, that don't see issues. Everybody sees issues. It's how you handle the issues that determines what your intent is. And the way you mishandled us, we knew your intent was not actually to educate our babies or to actually uplift poor and middle-class families in the city of New Orleans. That was not the game. That was not the end game, and we know it. Your end game was not to produce well-rounded children who can function in a global economy. That is not what your aim was, because if it was, you wouldn't have done away with the importance of reading, literacy. Our babies are not reading on grade level because that was your intent. Our babies are graduating high school, not prepared for college or career because that was your intent. And so by the measurement of your intent, then yes, your reform was successful. But your measurement based on your intent and what you sold to us, the reform is not reforming in the vessel in which our families believed it would and bought into that it would. That's the truth. And you see how I didn't even raise my voice to tell you the truth, because I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm not proficient yet in it, but I'm growing. So I believe that there is opportunity here to be a cohesive unit as it relates to how we do schools here. But it will require being honest about how we got here so that we can create some sustainable solutions for how we move forward. And we cannot continue to close our way out of failure. It's not going to work, because soon and very soon, there are going to be so many children without seats that it's going to be considered a state of emergency, much like the state of emergency that was called at Louisiana State Penitentiary, also known as Angola. The governor is going to have to declare a state of emergency if we continue to close buildings and limit access to education for the children of the city of New Orleans. Because families have already begun an exodus. They're choosing homeschool. They're choosing different parishes. They're choosing different states. They're choosing private schools because they have no faith or no belief and no buy-in to our public school structure. That, to me, is a state of emergency. Our tax dollars are there to ensure that all of our babies have access to a free and appropriate public education. Somebody calling trying to talk to me. You don't want to? Yes, indeed, I want to hear what they have to say. But that's what our tax dollars pay for. Access to a free and appropriate public education. And by appropriate, we mean quality, because I wish they would take that word out and put quality there. Because maybe just the quality and appropriate are going to be subjective to whoever it is doling out the appropriateness of the quality. So there's that. Good morning, James. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I had to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Ronald called early, and I was trying to get in, but I had my hands full at the time. I just wanted to say that you're hitting on all cylinders with Katrina and the school board. I think back to when my babies were just babies, and I have one that's he looked like a grown man, but he's 19, he's still growing. But I have one that was in the belly when we migrated, when we had our exodus to Texas, and you know, I just remember looking at my kids thinking, what we going back to? And I knew then, at 26, 27 years old, that we wasn't going to see the same New Orleans. I told everybody in my car, hey, man, you look back, but it's not going to ever be the same when we get back. So, you know, but I also want to add to what Ronald was saying. I can remember, and I was too young to realize what was going on then. My dad worked in the school board for 20-something years. Mr. Watts is the band director. He was at Gregory, and he had told me once when I was young, I was like, man, how come my books are better than y'all books or whatever? You know what I'm saying? My school. But he was like, man, I don't know. He said we get ships and crates of books that sit in the basement. We get supplies that just sit in the basement, and they tell us not to use them. So it was all by design. I just want people to know that that's from the inside. You know what I'm saying? If they've been set the trap, they've been laid the trap, just like Project 2025.
Yeah.
It's decades in advance. They already know how to get it. They just need to weasel their way in.
Yeah.
And as far as data, don't come at me with data. I don't really like to hear people try to use statistics because numbers absolutely, in my opinion, do lie. Because if you only look at half the picture, I can only give you what that data set allows me to give you.
Can I tell you something on that point, James? And I hope you watch the WWL part because that's exactly what I was talking about. But what I will tell you is numbers don't lie. It's the person who collecting the data that's telling a lie. Because if he actually told the truth, if they actually told the truth about what the numbers actually say, the numbers can't lie. But if you skew the data, or if somebody's paying you to only go get that snapshot of the data, that's what the researcher is doing. So it's the way the researcher is producing the data to the public that is the lie. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because again, in the snippet I was telling them, they keep telling us, 35% of this. I say, well, where's the rest of it? Because if you're talking about the 35, then guess what? The 65 somewhere is out there. Where are they? Right. And so that was the whole point of, I said a lot in that thing. They only put a few pieces of what I said, but that's exactly what I was talking about, James.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to go and look it up. It should be on YouTube.
Yeah, go look it up. I'm in there, just a little snippet of me is in there, but that is what I talked about.
They can't put all of you. They collect the data that they need.
Just a snippet, but I want to ask you this too, James. I need you to call back on the 18th. We celebrating Dr. Wyatt and her 1 year anniversary. You're one of the people I would love to hear from on the 18th. So please do not forget to call in on the 18th.
It's that fast. A boy time sure fly when you're having fun.
It do. It's been a year, yes, and I'm excited about it. So make sure you tune in on the 18th. Make sure you call, all right?
Yeah,
and go watch the clip and tell me what you think about it.
Oh, no, we already.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Listen, it's always fun talking to y'all, and it feels like the time flies. I want to again apologize for our show coming in a bit late. I know those minutes are important to you. I missed those minutes, and we still in minutes from the front porch right now, so we could properly close the show. But I want to thank Tatiana Thomas for coming into the studio. I want to thank all of you who called in to engage with me. I want to thank all of you who engage on the platform each and every day by way of the chat. I love you. I appreciate you, and I hope you continue to listen in. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for the Front Porch with Grayland and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, my super producer in training, Mr. Justin Lewis, our general manager. We gonna see y'all tomorrow. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about all day long.